Look at these weirdos. This one's called the Namco Negicon, or Negcon, or Negicon, or Nijicon, or I'm really not sure what the official English pronunciation is for this, but in Japanese it's Negicon, because Nejiru means to twist in Japanese. And here we have the Namco Jogcon. It's definitely not Jogicon, it says Jogcon here. This one gets its name from its giant black knob. Some old tape machines used to use jog wheels like this so you could move forward and backwards through the tape easily. Both these controllers were designed for racing games on the original PlayStation, and they both have goofy gimmicks going on. And even though this one looks like it might be the most basic of the two, there's more to this controller, but I'll get to that. The Negicon has a bunch of analog controls, and that's important because the PlayStation 1 didn't get analog sticks until 1997. Weirdly, this controller doesn't adhere to the PlayStation button layout. It's got a 1 button, a 2 button, an A button, and a B button. And then it's only got 2 shoulder buttons. Normally the PlayStation has 4 shoulder buttons. Strangely, it has an analog L button, but not an analog R button. It has the same amount of travel as the L button, but you can feel that it just clicks to engage the contacts at the bottom rather than actually doing stuff the whole time. It does have analog face buttons though. These buttons have a ton of travel. Have a look at this, and the game can tell exactly how far you've pushed the button down. So for accelerate and brake, you've got a lot of control there. But the best part of this controller is that it freaking twists. It goes nearly 180 degrees. You'd think this would be a really unintuitive way to steer, but actually if you just turn it like a steering wheel, it feels really natural. It kind of just twists by itself. Or I guess if you'd like to be a bit alternative, you just hold the left side still and then turn the right side like a steering wheel. To test out these controllers, I've chosen Ridge Racer Type 4 because it actually supports both of them.
Ridge Racer Type 4.
Ridge Racer Type 4. I don't actually know what the buttons are. I'm very unfamiliar with Ridge Racer games in general, actually. As you can see, the D-pad doesn't do anything. To steer, I have to actually twist the entire controller. This is strange. I would really like a shoulder button to be accelerate, but this was back in the days where the face buttons were always accelerate. It's just how it was. I feel like I need another gear. I did choose automatic, so it shouldn't need another gear. Maybe this is just my max speed. Oh, 178. Okay, yeah, fair. That's pretty good for a max speed, I suppose. You know, now that I've done a couple of laps and I'm starting to get used to this, I actually quite like it. It's way better than it would be just having digital controls on a D-pad. Apparently I qualified, but I'm not really sure how because I feel like I did a miserable job at that. I assure you that was not the controller's fault. That was me going far too quickly into the corner. Come on, I want to place in the top 3. That would be nice. Come on, I need to get in front of this guy here. I want to get in front of this guy. Oh, yeah. Ah, if only I wasn't so incompetent. The final stretch. Ah, come on, I just want 3rd. Wait, oh, I'm getting, no, I got no chance. Yeah, I actually really like this controller. My thumb is kind of sore from holding this button down. That's one thing with analog buttons is that I always feel like I'm not ever pressing them hard enough and I want to get full throttle by pushing as hard as I can. Maybe that's just me, but my thumb is a bit sore. It's in blurry vision, but it's kind of fun seeing Roman numerals as the button designations for the options down here. 1 button is okay and 2 button is nothing. Please? I wonder if I can just hot swap to the Jogcon. Hey, as soon as I unplug the Negicon, the button designations switch back to the standard. That's pretty fun. Now this guy is special. I mean, that's pretty special, but this is also special. Watch this. It moves by itself, and that's because this controller has proper force feedback. And I'm not talking about just vibration. This thing gets stiffer as you steer more. If you bump into a wall, it actually bumps the steering. As far as console games go, this was the first time there was ever proper force feedback on any kind of racing wheel. This one also gives you a meter down the bottom to show how far you're steering. Maybe because it doesn't have an end and they didn't want you to just keep trying to steer past the end. Thankfully with this controller, brake and accelerate have been relocated to the shoulder buttons because you really can't use any of the face buttons when you're steering with this thing. 4th again. Because of how this works, there are gears in here. You can hear that, although when you're playing a supported game, it doesn't spin like that because it self-centers. The controller also does feel like they did a bunch of cost cutting to get this technology in here. It's not very solid in your hands. The seams are quite sharp. The knob itself is pretty loose on there, and there's a little bit of play turning left and right as well. I really do love this feedback though. It's not super strong because the PlayStation is limited to how much current it can supply to the controllers. Safety mode. Oh, it's turned off the feedback. Oh, it's kicked back in now. Okay, so let me try something. If I hold this to the side, is it going to go into safety mode? Or is that purely when someone's fighting with it for no reason? It's done it again, and it doesn't seem to be anything to do with what I've actually done. I'm not sure why that's there, but I'm assuming it's a safety mode to stop the motor in here from burning out, or from burning out the fuse in the PlayStation, which I've bridged with solder. As soon as I start driving though, it kicks back in, so that's okay. Wait, no it doesn't. It didn't. Okay, it's back. It's just the safety mode that's for safety. Look, if I let go of the steering while I'm moving, it starts to oscillate. This is exactly how my Sega Rally machine acts. But now I wonder what these controllers are going to do with unsupported games. I can definitely see a situation where you might have one normal controller, and then you've got this guy as a second controller, and you want to play some two-player. Sure, it's missing some shoulder buttons and no select button, but if the game only needs the other buttons, maybe it'll work, won't it? Well, so far, no. You can't play Doom with the Negicon, although it does work at the BIOS screen. I guess I'll just have to play the Doom music with this controller. This is a fun feature of a lot of PlayStation games. They normally used CD audio, which means you can just put them into any CD player and play the music. Surely the Jog-Con will work with unsupported games though. Look at it, it's got all of the normal buttons of a digital controller. Yeah, of course it works. This is fine. Sadly, you don't get to play with the big black knob though. When you're playing a Jog-Con supported game, this mode button here will switch between Jog-Con mode and just the normal digital controller mode. But it also does another thing. If you hold it down when you're turning the power on, this light will keep flashing, and that means it's in Negicon compatibility mode. The Negicon supports a huge list of games, and the Jog-Con supports freaking none, but with Negicon compatibility mode, you can use this controller with all Negicon games. Except you probably shouldn't, because it's not a good experience. It doesn't self-center, because that's done in software, so if you let go, you're just going to end up crashing into a wall somewhere. Accelerate's going to try and be the one button, which is the X button now, so you can't put both thumbs on the wheel. The wheel also wants to be turned quite a lot to get the steering you need out of it. It's not good. I understand that they would have needed to add extra electronics to do it, but if compatibility mode could have had self-centering on the wheel, this would have been so much better. They might have sold some more controllers. And as well as that, in Negicon mode, there's going to be two shoulder buttons that do nothing. They could have remapped those to 1 and 2. That would have helped quite a lot as well. It's nice that they put this compatibility mode in so you can use it. It's just not quite there. It's so much better with a real Negicon. Did I just horn? I horned. I think it's time to see what's inside here. Oh dear. I'm expecting things to go spring. There are springs. Oh, things are falling apart already. And about the other side. All right, this is a bit terrifying. Oh, we got wires going between the halves. I mean, of course we've got wires going between the halves. Ooh, I hope they're rated for a lot of twisting. When you bend a wire backwards and forwards, it's called work fatigue. If you do it a lot and a lot, then they're gonna break internally. Also, these ones were pinched against the casing, so I'm gonna have to just tuck them down a little bit when I put this back together, I think. I can see 4 potentiometers in here, or variable resistors. 1, 2, 3, and a 4th one, which is inside this twist mechanism. It's only showing us its shaft here. When the controller is twisted, these gears here turn that middle potentiometer. The L button has some gear teeth underneath it, which turn this potentiometer when you squeeze the button. The R button, it really is just dead travel that pushes this elastomer button down in here. The analog face buttons here are amazing though. They've actually managed to connect a rotary potentiometer to these buttons. You can get potentiometers in a slide format. I kind of expected to see those in there. The 2 button makes this potentiometer turn, and the 1 button makes this potentiometer turn. On the PCB here, we've got a custom chip made by Mitsubishi with Namcot PS written on it. PS obviously means PlayStation, but I'm not entirely sure why Namco sometimes used the name Namcot instead. I did try looking it up, but all I got were theories and nothing really concrete. Do any of you know? Now let's see what's in the Jog-Con. Is this one gonna spring stuff everywhere? Is it even gonna come apart? Huh, that's kind of neat and tidy actually. Wow, that worked really well to unclip that. I just used a 3mm female hex bit and it pressed all 4 clips down quite nicely. Hopefully they spring back again afterwards. Alright, so this is a rotary encoder. Although the layout's a bit different, this works pretty much the same as the Arkanoid DS paddle I looked at recently. This little slot here has 2 LED lights on one side and 2 photodiodes or phototransistors or whatever they are on the other side. So depending on the pattern and speed of those lights getting through or not getting through to the phototransistors, it can tell how fast, how far, and in what direction you're turning this knob. This is the little DC motor in the back attack which drives the force feedback. It spins a little gear, which spins a bigger gear, which spins a little gear, which spins a bigger gear, which spins this knob. All that gearing is so this little motor can trade all its RPM for a little bit of extra torque so it can press against your fingers a bit harder. This is the main controller chip in this one. It doesn't say Namco this time, just says Namco and some numbers, and it doesn't have Mitsubishi on it this time either. There are some more chips over here. I'm fairly sure they're to do with controlling this motor. These ones down here definitely are. In researching for this video, I actually discovered that there are 3 versions of the Negicon. There was an early version made in Korea with nice round L and R buttons. Then there was a slightly cheapified version made in China with these squarish L and R buttons. And then there was a 3rd version, which I now have to get, which is black, slightly smaller, and a bit more ergonomic apparently. I just want to try out one more game. For some reason, Pac-Man World supports the Jog-Con. I have no idea how this is going to control a Pac-Man game. I only have the Japanese version of this, I'm sorry. We've got Quest, Maze, Original. Let's just go Quest, I think. Party on Ghost Island. Oh, is that it? It doesn't use the feedback? It's just a special attack? Is that what we're doing, is it? Oh, I wanted force feedback for Pac-Man for no reason whatsoever. Alright, cool. Oh. Okay, so the normal way is to just hold square, point in the direction you want to go, and then let go. Whereas if you use the big black knob, it takes more effort and you got to take your hands off the buttons. Very good. Do the different directions make any difference? No, they do not. This would do better with a fishing game than this game. Although I can see the edges of this circle in here damaging your fingers pretty quickly if you had to do this for any length of time. Is it just for one attack in the main quest? Let's try Original and see if it does anything in here. Oh wow, this is actually running a MAME ROM. It's doing the whole boot up sequence. Yeah, this is definitely not going to support the big black knob. Surprise, surprise, it does not. But yeah, this is just normal Pac-Man, so that's not surprising. Hey, it's got a pause put in, that's handy. What am I doing, putting more credits on with select? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Do I really have to restart the console? That's quite a hassle, because this game doesn't direct boot on this system. I have to use a boot disk. I really wish I'd modded this to have color on imports when I had it apart, because if I direct boot this Japanese game on here, it does work, there's a mod chip in here, but Japanese and American games all play in black and white. Last chance at getting any feedback out of this thing at all? Maze mode. Get ready to chomp. Oh, that was a fun little jingle. Nope, it only does anything in quest mode, and even then, it's just a worse version of the normal attack. There you go. Twisty and Turny. The Negicon and the Jog-Con by Namco. For $2.50 a month, you can join my Floatplane community where you'll get early ad-free access to all my videos as they come out. No YouTube scheduling for you. And I'm a little bit of a massive video game collector, so you'll also get a picture of each new thing that I get as I get it. Or if that's all you want, you can join for $1 a month. Check out the Floatplane link in the description. I'll see you there.